my idea for a Force Unleashed Disney series, 8 episodes long for the first season, and it's pretty much going to be tying in things from the movies and the things from the shows and the video game The Force Unleashed back in 2007, 2008 when the first Force Unleashed game came out. Let's get started. The first episode is literally a build up to the rest of the series, the season. So, like, the first episode is the whole Darth Vader on Kashyyyk kills Star Killer's dad in front of him, and Star Killer goes through the transition to from child to young man. But instead of, if you've played the games, this will be a lot of retconning and a lot of spoilers that will be changed in the series. He ends up becoming a young man, but he's wearing his own version of the Inquisitor outfit. He's got the spitting blade lightsaber, but he only uses one lightsaber piece, not the second one, like all the others. There are a team of Inquisitors. This is during uh, Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and before Rogue One. Excuse me. So he's part of an Inquisitor team. He doesn't really play well with others. He just kind of does his own thing, does his own missions, and ends up, succeeding. So one day, Vader tells him to he needs him to be his secret apprentice, and which he already technically was. He was training him specifically more than he was training the other Inquisitors, and he ended up telling him he needs to die on this mission. So he goes there, he does the mission, whatever that mission is. He dies, and at the end of the episode, that builds up on this. Like they find out, like, Coda, who is the Jedi who they're going to be looking for, or nah, or something like that, because he's still a young man. Never mind, ignore that. So he whatever that mission is, he the Inquisitors say that he's dead. They find like a cracked helmet underneath rubble and find his lightsaber somewhere else. And we're like, okay, he's dead, so whatever. Then at the end of the episode, you see Star Killer with the OG's Star Killer outfit on. And then it cuts to black, episode ends. Episode 2 is like a 2 year skip, 2 or 3 years. And this is still before Rogue One and episode 4, where he's been doing this secret apprentice thing for a couple of years now. He meets up with Vader, talking to him about his next mission, about Ram Koda. We finally meet his assassin droid Proxy. Proxy shows him his new pilot, Juno. Does the whole kind of same kind of scene thing from the Force Unleashed video game, understanding about who Juno Eclipse is. Juno shows up. He says that Vader killed our last pilot, and he ends up going on to his mission to fight Coda. But the thing is, one of the reasons why I would say, like, from fans would probably say, like, if he's an Inquisitor, then no stormtroopers would attack him. In the game he did. Well, that's why he became Vader's secret apprentice, so he can so he does fight both stormtroopers and rebels. Whatever job he needs to take, he needs to take it. If it means killing someone in the Empire, he has to kill him, or kill someone in the rebel group, he has to kill him. Either or. So with that out of the way, we go on the first mission. Juno shows us her skills and why she's this new pilot. She doesn't know that he's a secret apprentice. All she knows is that she needs to be his pilot. So, of course, he's got the nickname Star Killer, and she doesn't know his real name, obviously. And so he goes on his mission. He ends up nearly about to find Coda, but then he is stopped by one of his Inquisitor colleagues. And this one learns right away of his fighting style is a lot like Star Killer, the Inquisitor. And with that, he needs to, silence him. So he ends up fighting him, and he ends up killing him, and he ends up killing him, and he goes to fight Coda. Coda does the whole, out of all this planning, Vader sends a boy to face me. Then he fights Coda. Coda does his whole visions thing and only since it's him. Starkiller blasts him with the eyes. The whole, the thing goes down and everything, and does the whole eye thing. Thing crashes. He takes Coda's lightsaber, and so he goes to see Vader. Vader hands him. Vader takes both these lightsabers out of his hands, which one's the Inquisitor, which he says a necessary sacrifice, and then Ram Koda's lightsaber as well. After that, it varies. Whatever happens there, and they talk about the junk planet, and he goes there. After that, it goes into episode 3. When episode 3 is pretty much wrapping up the junk, the junk planet part of the story, and goes into Shaak Ti. Shaak Ti turns out to be mentally talking to Caleb from Caleb Doom, or Kanan, whatever you want to call him, from Rebels. So he's talking to she's talking to him, and with her apprentice, her Padawan from the Force Unleashed game, the chick with the Tonfa lightsabers. And the story, it seems like a lot of the times Shaak Ti always gets the short end of the stick, because she's died in like 3 iterations of Star Wars that I've found. One in like a deleted scene of Revenge of the Sith, the other one in Force Unleashed. The third one I cannot remember, but she's supposedly be dead in that, but it was retconned again. So this one pays homage to that, to where she does die in the Force Unleashed. But instead of him being, instead of it being like she's just talking about like the Sith always betray one another and everything, it actually has context, because Starkiller's story is like him being a machine assassin to being a human being, kind of taking from like a Master Chief or the Mandalorian kind of concept of him just being an assassin. This is all he knows, So instead of like him just being like, oh, you're not going to betray my master, it's got more context behind those words. So so Shaak Ti has the power, which I don't know if she does have powers. I don't know much about Shaak Ti. All I know is what I've seen from the TV shows and the movies. I wanted her to have like an ability to where she can see visions clearly, where she can see things like actual videos or dreams in her own mind if she closes her eyes and meditates, or even sleeps and she sees that stuff. Unlike everybody else who has to be asleep to see that, this is her kind of like little snippet to the Force, so she can see his whole entire story just from him being there as they fight and they clash. She talks to her Padawan, telling her Padawan not to fight this man, that she's going to fight him, and she runs off and does what she's supposed to do, and says that she was going to, before she leaves, Shaak Ti tells her she's going to try to save this person, and that's exactly what I'll do. And so she kind of leads the seeds into another seed plot that Coda has already done, and he's like, I can sense your future, and Vader won't always be your master. So he plants the seed of that in his head, and then she kind of waters it to help it grow. So he's kind of like, he's trying to believe the lie that he believes, that he will always be his master. They'll always, defeat the people and whatever. And it goes off from him becoming like he's starting to try to second guess it, but he's like, no, that's not it at all. You'll never let me just betray my master. Nothing you will say will do that, Jedi. And then she commits, pretty much suicide, and tries not to let him be a murderer again. And she does the whole falling into the planet and dying in there. And he's like, okay, that kind of happened. Juno around this time, this is episode 3, by the way. Juno around this time has been trying to figure out who the heck Starkiller is and what is their goals and stuff like this for Vader. And so she gets curious and starts going through the archives and stuff that she's not supposed to go into, illegal, secret, covert ops type stuff. And she didn't realize that the third party was listening into her conversation, looking at what she was doing, because she still has she's going into their like actual public, excuse me, their secret information files and stuff, and she finds out a little bit about Starkiller and how he was son of a Jedi, and Vader took him, and other random stuff, but not too much to where she knows exactly what's really going on. The third party is just some random person who's probably going to be a little bit more of a focus in Star Wars. Hell, it could even be Tarkin, and he tells Vader about what's going on. He knows about Starkiller, and he's the only person that he actually trusts. Vader only trusts him to learn this knowledge. So it goes off from him being like that, and Proxy telling him that, hey, it's time for us to go defeat the Proxy's, being Vader for a second and telling him, hey, it's time to do the whole kill the Emperor thing. So he puts back on his secret apprentice armor, goes up to Vader. This is the first time we see the Emperor in the show, and he stabs Darth Vader stabs Starkiller. Starkiller nearly dies, and then Vader knocks him around until he busts out of the window and into the vacuum of space. And he does technically die. He you see him breathing his last breath, like inhales, and then you see his body freeze over, and he's just floating through space, instead of it just being like how it was in the game, where he's just floating through space in general. It's kind of more scientific, because if you breathe out and make sure all your lungs and stuff are out, you probably have a better chance of being resurrected. I guess I wanted to kind of put that little homage of science into the series. Someone can tell me that that's not true or not, and actually give me the real facts. But still, it's kind of like a little snippet of kind of having a little bit more realism in this show. And so episode 4 ends with the droids grabbing him and bringing him into another ship. In episode 3. That's the end of episode 3. Episode 4 is it doesn't have much going on around it. It's just having the scene of Starkiller. Starkiller wakes up, and you hear machines going off, beepings, things moving, and then he wakes up. He's got that thing on his arm. He's got that white, I forget what it's called, but I guess it's a tunic that he was wearing for like his hospital garb. And then he yells at Vader saying, you killed me. And then Vader explains to him what he did. He's like, the Emperor needed you dead. He saw that. So now you can get your revenge, and we can still destroy the Emperor, because it was just too soon for us to do all that. And he's still loyal to Vader on that. What is thy bidding, thy master? And Proxy pops up, and you see a little bit of rehabilitation going on through this. It shows like the medical people seeing how powerful his energy is, because like his force lightning is pretty much like he's talented in the force lightning in general. So you see his lightsaber being even more powerful than it was before, and so he doesn't have his lightsaber anymore. It got blown out of the window with him, but he does have Shaak Ti's lightsaber that that Darth Vader gave to Proxy. Proxy gave him Shaak Ti's lightsaber, and as he's kind of going through this kind of rehabilitation thing, which is like the first, I'd say, 15-20 minutes of the episode is probably like 55 minutes long, so it ends up him grabbing the lightsaber, and it looks like Shaak Ti's lightsaber. Then it changes back to a more scrap like look uh, that he's used to and that he likes, and so he uses that instead of what he normally uses. So it's not the red lightsaber anymore; it's a blue lightsaber, and he uses the crystal and tries to not the bleeding effect, which I think would have been really cool to see, but he needs to not be a Sith. He needs to just be secret apprentice, doing good, rebels, whatever. And so Proxy tells him that Juno has been arrested for going into illegal places and finding files, stuff like that. But Proxy technically doesn't know what she got accused for, but they said that she's a rebel spy who was trying to download secret archive files and stuff like that. That's pretty much the news story. So the rest of the episode is just him breaking out of his medical thing and going through this whole medical facility, which is going into a sun and saving her, him getting with Proxy, and Juno seeing one of those R2 units, but it's one of those black ones that actually are on these type of ships, and she, it's like Vader said that you were dead, and it's been like 6 weeks since he's been dead or so, and so or probably less time than that, but nearly a month. So I guess 2 weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks. Yeah, it's been about 21 days, and so he saves her. He finds his ship, by the way, is on there. Proxy goes in. So does the droid. Proxy turns off the droid, by the way, and changes it up. I want it to be like where that thing was just remodeled there, or it was like just made there in that facility, and so it's got a clear motivation or something like that. Like it's not been used for years. It's brand new. So Juno has like a R2 unit companion, and so Starkiller, Proxy, and them fly off, and he sees in his little like closet near the pilot seat and stuff like that. He sees a green jacket, which in The Force Unleashed, they actually have a green jacket outfit that he does wear in there. So I'm kind of bringing an homage to that, to where it's kind of like he does wear different outfits throughout this series. Because one of the cool things about this game that was the fact that he wore different costumes and stuff, which was always cool. So episode 4 ends with him looking at the jacket. He puts it on, but he doesn't put on like all the other stuff with it until like the next couple episodes, where where all that happens. So now he's got Juno again, Proxy. They have a new droid companion. They've got a medical droid already on staff on their ship, and Starkiller. So episode 5, we go into the finding Ram Koda, and they say that Ram Koda is still alive, and he puts on his kind of bounty hunter outfit. That's probably going to be a little bit different, but probably with the same colors design as his bounty hunter attire. But he has a helmet on instead of just like him just having his face covered. I mean, not covered. So he goes there. He has his lightsaber kind of like still right there with him, and he goes to talk to Koda. Then they realize like stormtroopers are coming, and then he's like, how do I say it? He meets Boba Fett. And they knew who they were looking for, not knowing that it was Starkiller, but they were looking for Ram Koda, who they assumed was still alive. So they hired Boba Fett to get Ram Koda. So he fights. At first, he puts on the helmet and he gets tackled with the jetpack Boba Fett, and he flies off to another part of the location, and he's got his lightsaber out and everything. And they go into this like little, fight. They fight each other, and it's like the most epic thing that you can see. It's him rolling, Starkiller rolling until he gets into his defense stance, and then Boba Fett looks like he's trying to wrap this up really quickly, so he's trying to like shoot him and shoot him and shoot him and shoot him and shoot him, but none of that's working, and so he tries to burn him, which he uses the Force to push it back, and then he tries to shock. He does end up shocking Boba Fett, which malfunctions his jetpack a little bit. So he gets back on the floor and pulls out his blaster again, and they kind of circle each other slowly until eventually they both make the first move. And it's kind of like he's shooting at him with the blaster, and then he's Boba Fett shooting him with the blaster, and he's just rushing through him, using his lightsaber back and forth, trying to knock his blaster out, which he succeeds. And then we see another blaster, a smaller blaster that he has on his hip, that turns out to be a kind of like homage to his dad. His dad has those little pistol blaster things that he had, and he has one with him. So this whole scene right here is pretty much going pretty much the same as when when Jango Fett died, except he's on one knee and he's trying to get himself up, and he's blasting at Starkiller. Starkiller kind of looks like he's doing the Mace Windu thing, but his own little version of it. And before he's about to go for a head chop, because Jango Fett got his arm cut off before his head got cut off. And so before he's about to get his head chopped off, the one thing Jango Fett didn't have that his son does is rocket knees. So it shoots up, and he kind of spins a little bit to counteract the knee rockets, and he rolls to the side and starts blasting Starkiller. Starkiller uses Force push around the scenery to shake the platform. We see Ram Koda, like the whole scene kind of stops for a second. So we see what's going on with Ram Koda, and Koda is like they're doing a whole "you're coming with us" kind of thing, and he knocks them down. He's still drunk, but he's using the Force to kind of guide him through his like method. So we see like the whole kind of drunken fighter kind of thing going on. Takes his little drink, knocks these two out, and then he's like, "Hey boy, you're wrapping things up," but doesn't know where Starkiller is, because he's blind and doesn't know it's Starkiller, but he does know it was some kid who was talking to him. So Boba Fett and Starkiller's whole entire like fight scene ends finally with him throwing like a flashbang at Starkiller, and he's kind of doing like a Easter egg for people who don't know. But when in Soul Calibur 4, you see if you use too much Force abilities in that game, you see him like cover his eyes like this, and he says "damn." So you see that happen in this scene. Boba Fett leaves because he can't win, and Starkiller is like, "Okay, I need to get back to Koda." He gets a word in from Juno, but just scrambles. Like, "Juno, what's going on?" He's like, "Do you have Koda?" And he's like, "Yes, I have Koda," but he couldn't hear the rest of her. So she's like, "There's a ship with some blah 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 going on." Like, okay. So he finds Koda again. There's more stormtroopers, but now there's two of these black soldiers. I forgot what they're called. They're like temple guards, but they're like wearing the black armor, and they have like little lightsaber staffs. So in that scene, you only fight one, and he's like a boss fight. But in this, I'm changing it out for an Inquisitor. So it's two of those black temple guard soldiers and an Inquisitor. So they fight them. They do this whole like run parkour scene to their ship, and he kills one of the soldiers, and then he was about to get Starkiller does. Starkiller doesn't use his lightsaber, by the way. Coda said, "Don't use your lightsaber. Try to use like a better, different weapon or something like that." So he sees another bounty hunter. He knocks that one guy out and pulls out his I forget. I think it's called a vibro blade. I forget what their names are called, but in doing so, he pulls it out and he that's how he kills one of the soldiers with that sword. And when he wasn't paying attention, he was about to get killed by another one of those soldiers. But Coda pulls out his lightsaber and kills that guy. And he's like, "Well, I guess I told you not to do it, but I did it anyway." I must be a hypocrite, pretty much, he says to himself. And so the Inquisitor guy sees this, so Starkiller pulls out his lightsaber. And during this time, he put back on his helmet, so the Inquisitor guy doesn't know who he is, but he does know that Coda is a Jedi, so he thinks that this guy might be his Jedi Padawan. So two Jedis, whatever. The Inquisitor person fights those two and falls off the edge of this platform. And instead of it being like, okay, he's dead, let's go, run, Starkiller knows these Inquisitors and knows how they actually work. So he looks out there. He's like, well, that's Coda's like, well, that's the end of him. And he's like, Starkiller's like, no, he's not dead, but that won't. But that will stall him for just a little while longer. So they go to their ship, and it stays on the screen for a little bit, and we see him using the Force to spin his lightsaber and let him fly up. And that's the first time we see them use their lightsabers that way. Because the way I see it is the way that those things spin. They spin pretty fast, but not enough for someone to like fly off. It's like a ceiling fan. So they use the Force to lift themselves up or push up on the propeller of the lightsaber, and it keeps them pushing. That's just my little headcanon. But because I don't really have much knowledge on how those even work. I just think that they're pretty cool. And so they do this whole flying chase scene where the Inquisitor has this like double ship thing where it's like a tiny little big ship, and then it has a tiny ship inside of it. And they're shooting at Starkiller's ship. Proxy's trying to make sure the shields don't go down. The droid is trying to shoot move the turrets so it can be in the back instead of the front, and Starkiller is using the turrets to shoot as Juno's flying. Coda is talking with the medical droid. The medical droid trying to make sure he's stable condition, he's not dying or anything, whatever. And then the bad guy's ship, the Inquisitor ship, loses its shield, and it starts to get dunked on by Juno shooting at their ship. So the Inquisitor guy takes it upon himself, because he's got two stormtroopers in there. Takes it upon himself to go into the backup ship, and just before the missile destroys that ship, he lets out the Inquisitor lets out the other ship, because it could be anybody, male, female, whatever Inquisitor you want it to be, and it goes out. And if it doesn't turn on, it just stays off, and they just kind of like fall into the vacuum of space while the ship is like explosion. So they think that that's their way to hey, that's our key, let's get out of here. And the Inquisitor, we see the ship that they were on, and you see like their knuckles and stuff just start to tighten up on the little the stick to drive it, and we see the little red light thing that is their eyes for their helmets, and then it cuts to black. That was episode 5, by the way. 1 second. So, episode 6 is, if you played the game, it's pretty much the Kashyyyk part and back to the junk planet, where I'll be getting there. So they go to Kashyyyk, but the first scene is the rest of the Inquisitors. They lost one Inquisitor, and now they've only got, let's say, 3 left. And they start to question Vader on what happened to Starkiller, what happened to one of our people dying, and you just leaving it alone. Legitimately, nothing seems to be going right for the Inquisitors right now. They talked about talking to the head Inquisitor, the first brother, I think. The main Inquisitor, he was talking about fighting a boy and his a Jedi and his Padawan, which they're talking about Ezra and Kanan, and then they talk about this weird bounty hunter dude with a lightsaber who just so happened to have the same kind of fighting style. Then Vader comes in, tells them that he's got a mission for them, and you guys shouldn't really be questioning his orders and all that other stuff. So it goes into, it goes into that scenario where they're starting to question their loyalties, but also are going to trust in the dark side and all that other stuff. Then it goes to where now Starkiller is wearing his green jacket outfit, and they're going to Kashyyyk, and they do the whole Ram Koda sleeping, and Starkiller kicks him, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, thought you died in your sleep." And he's like, "Starting to wish that I had." And they go to Kashyyyk. They talk about I'd say oh wait, actually, let me go back to episode 5 for a second. In episode 5, they the Jedi, oh sorry, Starkiller goes up to a bunch of Mandalorians. It says, wait, wrong episode, because I wanted there to be a scene where he goes to a bunch of Mandalorians and he's talking to them, and you meet Mando, and it's got his music playing and everything. And he's wearing the same armor as he did in the first episode, but the armor is a lot cleaner. It's not like as clean and this like chrome as his new outfit, but it's like, hey, this one hasn't been in too much battle damage yet to where it looks all rusty. So even his helmet is like a kind of gold, kind of like he looks like a Spartan or something like that. Not from Halo, but like 300 Spartan Greeks and Romans and stuff like that. So, excuse me. And so and you only get this one scene with Mando. It's just one of those things like someone of your kind tried to kill me for no reason, and that's when Mando starts to talk about like he's like, well, it wasn't one of us, and he says like he was wearing such and such armor and blah blah blah, and they say he must have been Boba Fett or something like that. Someone says that. Mando doesn't. Mando's just, they don't even say Boba Fett. They just say it's just one of them, and they're like, this is the way. And then after that, he just kind of leaves. It's like maybe a good 5-minute scene, just like a good 5-minute scene. It could probably be in episode 6. It could probably be in episode 5. I'm not sure. Whatever. Anyway, episode 6, after the Inquisitors have their conversation with Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, they end up talking about all the Jedi that they've captured. Well, during that conversation with the Grand Inquisitor, how they were talking about the Jedis they've found before, like Obi-Wan from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order, and Ezra and Kanan from Rebels. So it tells you that everything is pretty much canon in this so far. And so that's when we go to Kashyyyk. We see that Juno is coming with Starkiller on this mission. She pulls out like a blaster harness on her side, and she explains why she's going. But he's like, I have to kill all these people and blah blah blah. And so she goes to a spot. She sees Wookiees and she tries to free them. She succeeds. She kills the other stormtroopers, and she and uh Starkiller goes to his home, meets the ghost of his father. His father calls him by his name, saying Gilligan or Galen, and he he does the whole "wait, father, no," and trying to understand what's going on. Proxy, the proxy and Coda, excuse me, and Coda are on the ship trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Starkiller, and said that he felt a disturbance in the force and whatever. And then they end up going to this place where Princess Leia is being kept. And like I feel like in episode 5, Princess Leia was like mentioned in there somewhere. And now we get a chance to see her finally in this, where she's and the Wookiees are being enslaved, and she's a prisoner, and you meet Jar Jar Binks in this one, which in The Force Unleashed, you do see a Gungan in Carbonite on Kashyyyk, which could or could not be Jar Jar. I'm not particularly sure because I don't know if that was or wasn't him. All I know is it was a Gungan, but for this, to make it canon, it was Jar Jar in Carbonite. And he's just kind of there as like a little fun Easter egg. Oh wait, there's Jar Jar. It says his name. If you like zoom in as like someone who wants to like what's the word I'm looking for? Be like, oh, I review these and we find Easter eggs, and it says right there on the label, it's in that one language of Star Wars, and if you translate it, it says Jar Jar Binks. So they rescue the Wookiees, they destroy the thing, they rescue the Wookiees, they save Princess Leia. Then they were talking about the rebels and the resistance, and then Coda, they go back on Coda's thing and they try to do the whole the we need to find the resistance and everything, and I just rescued his daughter kind of thing. And he's like, you won't be able to talk to him because I can't find him. My link to the Force has been cut, and all that other stuff. And so they talk about that. They go back to the junk planet for some reason. Like I said, these are just ideas. They're not really set in stone of what goes on. That's why I keep backtracking every now and then. Then they go to the little place and they meet the Mandalorian stuff. And then they meet the Mandalorian. He talks about he was hurting. He got hurt, but what is it? Not hurt. He got sucker punched by a Mandalorian, and that's when he meets Mando for like 5 minutes, and then he goes off and does his own thing. He talks to Juno again. They have their little moment. Then they go to the junk planet. The junk planet. They do the reach out with the Force and grip that destroyer, and then everything starts to hit the fan. And the place is about to blow up, whatever. Proxy tries to kill Starkiller, and Proxy tries to kill Starkiller. He does the whole Darth Maul thing, and since Sam Witwer plays both Starkiller and Darth Maul, he's technically fighting. He's technically fighting himself, and then after that, they go back to the ship. He grabs Proxy, and he ends up because Proxy's been trying to kill him since the whole story. He does that. They finally get the transmission for to talk to the Resistance and how they've been helping out with the Resistance this whole time, and they end up about to do the whole, I forget what else happens, but I will say going to episode 7, they some other stuff happens. They meet up with the chick from who was the Padawan. She got turned to the dark side and then fight Rancor and all that other stuff. After that, when she leaves, she takes her own ship off the planet. Other stuff happens, and then they meet up at the. They do the whole "you're still loyal to Vader after he branded me a traitor and tried to kill you." Then it goes off from the end of episode 7, because that one I didn't really put much ideas into it. All I know is at the end of it, it becomes a where the three Inquisitors of the story, not the Grand Inquisitor, not some of the famous ones, none of the famous ones. These are like for this story specifically because they don't really survive. Spoilers. So the end of episode 7 is those 3 Inquisitors pop up, the stormtroopers pop up, and Darth Vader pops up. So they do the whole "we had a deal" thing, blah blah blah, and then he has to fight the 3 Inquisitors pretty much alone while everybody else is being kidnapped and other stuff. Coda takes off his blindfold, and now he's looking like more like Coda again and not just some drunk. And he kills one of the Inquisitors, and this whole scene is like straight out of the video game. He's using force push, using the force pulse, lightning, and throwing his lightsaber, choking people, and killing folks. And then the last Inquisitor that's left is about to do the final strike kind of thing. Gets shot in the shoulder, but instead of it being one of those, I got shot in the shoulder. Who was that? It was, I got shot in the shoulder, and then really, really soon after, like someone did not just go 1 shot. No, then 2 shot. No, it's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3, 1, ow, 2, ow. Looks behind her, or whoever the Inquisitor is, looks behind her and looks at the person, and it is Juno. Shoots the person in the leg. They fall to the ground. The Inquisitor turns on their lightsaber, the second part of their lightsaber again, and spins it around and force pushes it towards Juno, and it misses. And so they grab it again, use force push, and slams her into a rock. She passes out. She tries to grab her blaster, but completely passes out because of the shock, and showing that Juno actually puts in the work. That she was already when they were on Kashyyyk, because that one shows that Juno knows exactly what she's doing. And after that, she's knocked out. The Inquisitor escapes, and Galen is passed out in the snow. Then the next episode is pretty much straight after, which is episode 8. This one is a bit longer than the rest, and it goes into Galen waking up in the snow because Juno is trying to wake him up. Then he wakes up, and it's just him, and Proxy was killed, quote unquote, killed by Vader in episode 7. Episode 8 is pretty much Juno wakes up Galen. They go and try to save everybody. He tries to meditate and does the whole Coda thing, and he's wearing his new Jedi robes with the hoodie. They go into this whole like space battle thing, which the space battle is epic. It's Rebels versus the Empire, and then it goes off from them getting there, because they got really cool cloaking technology, but I still want them to put in the work. Anyway, they make it to the facility, and throughout most of this story, Darth Vader has been talking to Starkiller, and has been talking to the Emperor as well. But we've only seen the Emperor about twice in this series thus far. And episode 8 is where obviously we see him again. He gives Juno a kiss. He falls. Is like, "Goodbye, Juno, and call me Galen." And so she doesn't call him Starkiller anymore. She calls him by his real name, because I wanted his father to tell him what his name was, so he can actually start using that to kind of go away from being an assassin to being a person. and it shows you his development as a character for taking that name instead of just calling himself Star Killer. He goes there, he fights a bunch of people, fights a bunch of machines, shows off like this is straight video game uh video game battle, just straight out of the video game. Everything, Force Impulse, Force Lightning, Blue Lightsaber, him defeating everybody, and then walk into a corridor. Juno's actually flying around trying to figure out where the people are. She finally tells him where all the people are being kept, and right when that happens, kind of like straight out of Rogue One and the Phantom Menace, where Darth Maul is standing in the way of where they were supposed to be going. And then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were there. And in Rogue One, where you see the hallway scene with Darth Vader, yeah, this is pretty much that. And so him and Darth Maul, sorry, Darth Vader, end up fighting. They fight throughout this whole corridor. It gets really, really bad. It's it's really awesome. It's just really awesome. Like this is like comic book Darth Vader levels of badass. And you can tell that Galen is nowhere near Darth Vader's league, but he is holding his own. And so he does the whole force push, force choke, lightsaber battle, breaking stuff and going into the other parts of the corridors, using the surrounding area as their advantages, and it's just the best. And then you see like he messed up Darth Vader. This is who I call Scrap Vader, where you can see his leg, you can see a little bit of his robot arm, you see like half his mouth, half his eye, where he's like Ahsoka in Rebels. And then it goes flying straight off, and when he pushes through the corridor, or the door is supposed to open like side to side or up. This one goes straight through, and he just pushes Vader there, and finally overwhelms Vader, and he fights Vader a little bit more, and then pushes Vader down where he collapses. Vader's not dead. People are like, "Did they just kill Vader in this? They can't kill Vader in this." You just wait. And so he sees Palpatine. Palpatine pushes with like the Force, pushes Galen's hood off, and they start battling. It's straight out of like something as close to the Emperor versus Yoda scene, but a lot more controlled, like Return of the Jedi. Instead of Vader fighting Luke, it's Starkiller versus Palpatine. It's a little bit more control. Not as cool as the Vader scene, but just as cool just to see Palpatine at least putting in some work. A little bit lackluster, but it's still not as cool as the fight we just saw. And the reason why is because I wanted to see more of the struggle of being a Sith to a Jedi, I guess. And during this time, the little R2 unit, because Juno had found a new location to land the ship. She destroyed that whole corridor, so that little landing strip, so that it's super close by where the spot is for them to get their troops out of there, get all the people who was kidnapped and rescue them to Juno's ship, and to fly off. So she put her little buddy in the corridor room to wherever Palpatine and them are, and get her team, the rebels, back to the ship. So you see him, and you see he's taking away their binds and stuff like that, and letting them all escape. Then that's when it's the scene from the end of the game where it's him versus Palpatine shooting with the Force Lightning. Palpatine's Force Lightning looks like it's powerful, but then you see Galen's turn purple just as much as Palpatine, and it's like, oh no, while they're both purple now. And then it just a ship comes in, crashes, and Galen blows up alongside Palpatine. Palpatine puts his hood back on. We can barely see what was underneath it, because it's like we see like the back of his head, and then he puts the hood back on, and he stands in front of over Starkiller as he's dead. And then we see Darth Vader. We hear his and he walks over towards Palpatine, over Galen, and it's like it cuts to black after that, after whatever they probably say or do, and it's like it's been about 3 months since Starkiller has been quote dead, and the Resistance is finally here. We see Captain Syndulla, we see Kanan a little bit, Ezra finally, and people from Rebels. We see Juno, and we see them. We see this is like, I would say this is like after Rogue One and in the middle, or almost near the end of Episode 4. This is like in between Rogue One and no, it's literally during Episode 4. So we see kind of like a Luke Skywalker cameo, Han Solo cameo, a Leia cameo. We see pretty much almost everybody there. And then I would say, oh, the Palpatine thing. Palpatine said, bring his body, or bring his corpse to our ship, type thing, before it cuts to black. And then it goes into the whole cloning thing. This is where he gets the idea to start cloning Jedi and stuff like that. This is the whole Rise of Skywalker thing being set up, to where it's I created Snoke and I got this body back because this is my body and whatever, and it's literally OG Palpatine. So after that, it tells you about cloning and everything. It ends. That part ends. Then it goes to the heroes about to do their whole Yavin 4 thing, and there's like one of those memorial type things where it shows you like the soldiers and the people we've lost throughout the time we were here, and Juno has Starkiller's old lightsaber. How did we get this back? We don't know, but she has it, and it just or maybe it's the Shaak Ti one that he modified. It could be either one. And she puts it down there, and pretty much it's engraved on it that says Galen Mark on like a little metal thing. And then that's when the whole thing ends. Now, for season 2, there's a trailer where I wanted this to be kind of creepy and kind of like, whoa, this is going into some horror territory, where you hear machinery and the clinking and clanking and a bunch of other randomness. So it goes into and it's just black screen. You hear bubbles going up, and then you see Sam Witwer's face, and it's all pale and it's bald, and the person's in the tube, and then it glitches again, and it glitches again, and it goes to another scene. It goes to another scene where everything's just all over the place, but it's still focusing on this scene. Then you see, you hear the of Vader, and says the cloning process is another failure, and they say something about like use all of the DNA data from his previous body, every last bit of it, and put it into this one clone. And since they don't have the Kaminoans anymore, if you ever watched The Bad Batch or played Battlefront 2 from classic Xbox in like 2003 or 4, there's a mission there where stormtroopers kill clones and take over the Kamino, the planet. And then the Bad Batch, they're taking away the whole entire cloning process. So they don't really have people who are like, they don't have people who are good at these, good at cloning anymore. So they're kind of doing it themselves. It's like It's like what people were arguing about Disney. It's like the people who make Star Wars is like um, the people who made Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and then you give it over to Disney, and you get the Disney trilogy. Like you don't know how to handle Star Wars, so that's pretty much what they're the kind of thing I'm trying to combine here. It's not like this. It's a bad example, but I guess it's saying like, do you know how to play this game? Well, here's the game, and then here's the second, and then let's play this game, and you just mess up my whole save data. You erase the save data, and you try to do it your way, and it's just terrible. That's what I'm trying to say. And so then you see the final clone that they make that actually is dead, and it's on a table. And then Vader says, "This one is a failure too." Leaves the room. Everything is starting to get really, really black. And then you start to see dots and dots, and they just start to go all over the place. And these dots get brighter and brighter until eventually they start going down to this clone's body. You start hearing the dun 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 dun, and then it goes inside the clone's body, and then you hear, and then it cuts to black. Season 2 is pretty much kind of putting Rise of Skywalker, putting the seeds of Rise of Skywalker in there, because they said that even though it's a clone body of Palpatine, it's still the spirit of Palpatine inside of the clone. So this shows you that Galen is still alive, just has a new body. His soul transferred to a dead clone of himself's corpse. But he has no memory of who he was. He only has these flashes and images that keep pop up his head. But my voice is tired, so I'll get into that another day. But I will say the Padawan of Shakti has a big role in it. And you meet Luke, Leia, Han is not in it, but he's mentioned in it because this is during in between 5 and 6, and Juno is like only in the last 3 episodes. Luke actually trains with Galen, and he the Padawan is upset with Starkiller for killing Shakti, but then has a realization of Shakti's words were to save this person, and the person is over here, and he's saved now, and he's good and everything. And there's a scene where Coda actually is probably the only person who understands that this is still Galen and not just some clone. The body may be a clone, but the soul is all him. And what is it called? This one is more focused on finding Juno than anything else. So it kind of focuses really heavy on. I mean, it's got an end game pretty much. Unlike the first season, where it was more like, okay, it's time to rescue our people, and that's pretty much it. So Luke trains with Galen. So does the Padawan. Padawan pretty much saves. Starts to trust Galen again, and starts to trust Galen, especially the part where Galen is about to kill Vader. She's one of the voices of reason, besides right next to Coda, and Luke Skywalker is mentioned in there of his thoughts. Juno's thoughts are mentioned, and anybody else who's involved with season 1 and 2 is mentioned, and it's like that. And then it goes into the healing process in Rise of Skywalker, how he heals Juno, or in like how Rey healed Kylo, or the space snake. So that's all I'll say as a setup for season 2. Take care.